All right, we're back. Got some more great questions. We'll talk about the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 0-2 in the preseason, of course, 5-13 last year. A lot of deficiencies from last season. This year, it looks like they've addressed a few of them. Corey Sheets came out. Looks like they have that running presence again. Darian Durant got some help with the offensive line a little bit, so it gives him more time. Defensively, Odell Willis did get a little hurt there in the game, but did look good. Brent Hawkins, first time back since, what, 2 seasons ago after getting injured and was out for 2011. He looked great. Do the Riders have a chance in 2012 to at least be up there in the West Division?
It's Canadian football. Anything can happen, right? I mean, really, you have BC last year start out 0-5, 0-6, whatever it was, and then win the Grey Cup. So I think anything can happen. And the preseason truly in Canadian football means absolutely nothing. Your preseason record. I'm sorry, it's who you play, it's who they happen to decide to play, and if they're having to make a lot of decisions and they play a lot of the guys that are sort of on the borderline, well, that team's going to get beat, right? I don't know. I think it could be a tough season for both of the green teams in the West. I think both the Eskimos and the Riders could have a hard time. Myself, I hate to say that because I hate BC, and I'm not a big Calgary fan either. But
BC looks like the cream of the crop. We'll get to that in a second, but your thoughts there.
Well, I think Riders are going to be a lot better than they were last year. I think they improved their offensive line. It's hard for Darian Durant to throw the ball when he's on his back, so that's a good indication. I think the running game is still in question because you have Sheets, who's not really a proven player in the CFL. He looked good in the preseason. Will he look good come Labor Day? Hard to say. But I kind of like the way the offense is looking right now. Defense looks stronger. Willis's injury is just a high thigh bruise, I believe, so he should be okay for Hamilton. I think more than anything, it's not how the Riders, how much they improve, how much the other teams have dropped off the table. The Edmonton Eskimos don't have a legitimate #1 quarterback. Calgary Stampeders' #1 quarterback is somewhat in question. BC will be strong. So I think it's going to be a logjam for second place in the West, and it's anybody's game. I think BC is the cream of the crop in the West, though.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the Edmonton Eskimos. You touched on it. It seems a little scary. Kavis Reed announced that it's going to be Stephen Giles starting on Saturday against Ricky Ray, out of all people, coming to Edmonton. Is he the guy, or they're going to have a lot of issues there in Edmonton?
I'm a little worried about the Eskimo offense. I mean, the defense, I think, this year is going to be really good. I'm really enthused about finally, I think they're going to have a really good defensive rush. I mean, those 3 guys up front for the Eskimos are going to give quarterbacks fits. But I'm a little worried about, they lost Messam, and that was their legitimate running game, and that was part of the reason why they were so effective last year. I'm a big Ricky Ray fan, although he really struggled in the preseason with Toronto, but I think once he finds his game and that sort of thing, I mean, I'm still a bit of a conspiracy theorist on that whole Ricky Ray trade. I think that they wanted him in Toronto for the 100th anniversary season. They wanted him at the flagship franchise in the CFL, and the next thing you know, we have Ricky Ray. We wake up one morning with Ricky Ray in Toronto, and we get Stephen Giles. Yay.
Yeah. Who's Stephen Giles? Seriously, Stephen Giles is not a #1 quarterback. When the big talk, I think with Edmonton announced yesterday that Stephen Giles would be your starting quarterback. Well, no kidding. No, Kerry Joseph was challenging him for that spot. How old is Kerry Joseph? When actually coming out of training camp, they didn't really know if it was going to be Kerry or Stephen Giles.
They were neck and neck pretty much.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, I could see them platooning those 2 guys. I mean, really.
But Kerry Joseph is, he's not a young man anymore, and he likes to play a young man's game. He's in incredible shape all the time, but he can't go running down the field and taking on linebackers anymore like he used to do 4 or 5 years ago.
If the Eskimos struggle, say particularly on the offensive side due to a quarterback, you're going to get a lot of angry receivers like Stamps and stuff. How does this affect Eric Tillman? Would he be back for the following season, or would there be a lot of pressure from Eskimo fans saying, get rid of him?
Yeah, Tillman will be back. Like I say, Tillman still, a lot of Tillman's basic principles, and wherever he's gone as a GM, he's been successful, and his basic principles are improve your Canadian talent. He gets that. And the other thing is he gets the importance of the kicking game in the Canadian game. The kicking game is way more important in the Canadian game than it is in the American game, and Tillman gets that. He appears to have momentarily lost his senses on the quarterbacking side of things, but and I could be wrong. And I'm quite prepared to be pleasantly surprised that Stephen Giles turns into the next coming of well, I don't say Henry Burris because that's not popular in this town, but you know, that he comes in, you know, comes out as and maybe he'll have a great coming out. You know, like, because I mean Durant really did the same thing a few years ago with the Riders, and I mean you look at a guy like Travis Lulay or some of these other guys that you're thinking, you know, how does this guy get?
And I think Eskimo fans should bank on that Tillman has done this before, many seasons, wherever he's gone, and has had success. Recently with the Riders, when he got rid of Kerry Joseph, and that turned out to be an excellent deal because he was a little overpriced and underachieved. So that's another positive.
No, I think Tillman's a smart guy. So.
Eric's nickname is Teflon. You know, nothing sticks to him. So,
or that hair, apparently. Let's move on to the CFL. Your predictions. It looks like there's a power shift in the East where you got 3 strong quarterbacks: Anthony Calvillo, Ricky Ray, we just mentioned, and of course Henry Burris, who moved from Calgary to Hamilton. Your thoughts of how the standings are going to go and how competitive it's going to be this season?
You know, I think Henry going to Hamilton could be, you know, a new life for Henry there. If he stays healthy, he could really make a difference for the Ticats. I like their offense. They don't have the running back they wanted to. They lost that running back. But I think, you know, Hamilton could give Montreal a run. I think Toronto with Ricky Ray there could be interesting. I think the one that's going to probably fall off the map is Winnipeg.
Montreal and BC in the Grey Cup.
Your words.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I could be. I'll probably be wrong.
Well, you know what we'll do.
But I mean, never bet against Anthony Calvillo. You know, I don't care. You know, in Montreal, and right now I don't see anybody challenging BC. I mean, they won the Grey Cup last year after coming out of the gate 0-5 or whatever. I mean, if they even come out the first 6 games split, I mean, they'll probably be okay.
Well, Richard, what we'll say is we'll have you back just during Grey Cup
Polls can
week.
be wrong.
And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Just remember, this is all taped, so we're going to let you know.
Perfect.
The ideal situation, the CFL wants to have Toronto in the Grey Cup against whoever from the West. Maybe Saskatchewan, because it's
because the Rider support.
The Rider Nation against the rest of the CFL.
The evil Toronto against the rest of the country and everybody else. You know, the 70% of the merchandise that gets sold to Rider fans. You know, across the country.
We know you say BC is going to come out of the West in terms of the standings. Who gets second place then?
In the West?
Yeah.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, flip a coin. I probably Calgary. If you look at the 2 teams, the Eskimos, who's worse, the Eskimos or the Riders? And who's better than them? It's probably the Stampeders. So.
All right, perfect. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll have Over Under coming up.